I'm Brady Innocenzo back with another episode of BNN 10, the final show of this season. We start the show this week with a look at two different countries that were once ruled under the same flag in this special edition of the show. The Netherlands is a small country in northwestern Europe with a rich history. Despite its small size, the Dutch once oversaw the world's largest trade empire, stretching to the furthest ends of the globe. The prized possession of the Dutch was a collection of islands off the coast of Southeast Asia. These islands were rich in spices, a valuable commodity at the time, allowing the Dutch to use their unrivaled navigation skills and techniques to establish an international trading empire. The Dutch established the Dutch East Indies from this archipelago and continued to expand their holdings in the islands for the next 3 centuries. However, as in most colonial narratives, there was a group of people who lived on these islands before the Dutch. The region was under the rule of the Majapahit Empire, a Hindu empire that spread throughout the islands in the 13th century. These people had exposure to many cultures because of the wide variety of ethnicities coming through the archipelago because of trade, leaving in their wake Buddhist, Hindu, Islamic, and Christian ideals. Today, the Netherlands has given up its quest for global domination of trade, yet have remained front and center when it comes to international commerce. From their trade empire, a new nation has formed, Indonesia. The islands now have a population of 274 million people with a rich history of their own that we will explore in this episode. Though their histories once intertwined, the Netherlands and Indonesia are now fundamentally different countries that have both come to play an incredibly important role on the world stage. For more on these countries, we go to our correspondent, Zach Kurz.
Thanks, Brady. The first area we can dissect is cultural values. Indonesia is a highly diverse nation, partially due to its geography. Indonesia comprises 13,466 islands, each of which has some sense of independency from the other islands. This has led to a feeling of local identity holding a greater importance than national identity. This has also allowed different influences to take hold on individual islands, with many Indonesians identifying with Chinese, European, Indian, and Malay roots, aiding in this cultural melting pot. Though independent from each other geographically, Indonesians are often subject to groupthink, leading to less conflict and maintaining one of their key values, harmony. Indonesians believe that each community should maintain harmonious relationships and group unity, creating smaller units in which the unity can be maintained. As a consequence, Indonesians are less direct in conversation, especially when it comes to denial or rejection. This leaves the individual's ability to maintain their image without disrupting this harmony. The Dutch also share their emphasis on a family, an idea that is contrast to most other European nations, with many Dutch citizens adopting these gender roles to support their family outside of the home. The Dutch are quite egalitarian, abstaining from their overly ostentatious displays of wealth and making sure all are taken care of. This, in practice, results in the Dutch having no abject poverty within their nation, ensuring that all are taken care of before any one person receives special treatment. For this reason, they reject hierarchical structures, making sure that all people feel valued and respected in their own right. Dutch people tend to be very detail-oriented, exercising great discipline in their cleanliness and self-awareness in the image that they project. Though they are quite hospitable and formal in the meeting, they tend to communicate in direct, matter-of-fact manner. These nations hold different values that in turn change the way they approach their lives. Back to you, Brady.
The next area of analysis to compare Indonesia and the Netherlands is their economy. Indonesia is the largest mixed economy in Southeast Asia, with a real GDP of 3.13 trillion. This makes Indonesia the 7th largest economy in the world, making it a global economic powerhouse. However, it is the 4th most populous nation in the world, meaning that the GDP per capita is quite low at $11,400 per person. This indicates that, though the collective economy is powerful, the nation underperforms its economic potential. Despite this, the nation is incredibly rich in natural resources, including crude petroleum, natural gas, rubber, coffee, cocoa, palm oil, and other naturally occurring commodities. Indonesians are less capable of manufacturing complex technologies. Thus, their major imports are high-functioning technologies, manufactured goods, and technical skills. China is their largest trade partner, constituting 15% of the nation's transactions, a relatively small percentage of their well-diversified trading web. The Netherlands is a smaller economy, with a real GDP of 945.48 billion. Since it has a smaller population, the Netherlands has a GDP per capita of $54,200, implying a high quality of life with a generous amount of money to go around for all citizens. The nation's primary economic function harkens back to the roots of the Dutch Empire: trade. The Netherlands acts as the keystone of the European economy, acting as a gateway through which goods flow in and out, with the city of Rotterdam being the largest port on the European continent. Outside of trade, the nation has a highly mechanized farm industry, acting as the second leading exporter of agricultural products in the world. The nation imports a large amount of crude oil, though it has plentiful natural gas fields, making it particularly dependent on the importation of hydrocarbons for power. Many industries in the Netherlands are heavily regulated in an attempt to balance the needs of workers, climate policy, and production efficiency. The service sector of their economy is highly developed in their metropolitan areas, as the Netherlands has the highest population density in all of the European Union. The Dutch rely on Germany as trade partners, constituting nearly 18% of the nation's trade. Both of these nations have rather large and robust economies. However, they have some key differences. The Dutch, though they have the smaller overall GDP, have a hefty advantage over Indonesia when comparing GDP per capita, nearly 5 times greater than that of Indonesia. This is particularly due to the developed economy of the Dutch, creating more value per person with a highly efficient system and automation. Indonesia has significantly more natural resources and the potential to become one of the 3 largest economies in the world. 10-second trivia. Which of the following sports is most popular in Indonesia?
Badminton is by far the most popular sport in Indonesia, topping all of these other sports on the list.
Sports play a huge role in these 2 countries, acting as a national pastime for all of its citizens. For more, we go to our correspondent, Ben Zink.
Thanks, Brady. When it comes to Indonesian sports, badminton and soccer are incredibly popular and loved nationwide. Badminton was popularized with the Indonesians in the 1990s when the nation brought home a string of gold medals in the event, boosting its popularity and making it one of the nation's top sports. Indonesians hold badminton on such a high pedestal that the names of the sport's top athletes were often used as baby names for the next generation. Soccer, on the other hand, is also incredibly popular with numerous levels of play and participation for the people of Indonesia. The Indonesian national team is the country's most prestigious soccer team, a state-run organization that facilitates the selection of the team when it comes time for international competition. There is even a special version of soccer played at Ramadan, a central Muslim holiday, that involves setting the ball on fire to play. Outside of these 2 sports, volleyball and basketball are also incredibly popular sports to play and spectate. In the Netherlands, soccer alone reigns king as the top sport. There are a number of small leagues around the nation, facilitating easy access to the sport for all players of all ages. The Netherlands also has an 18-team Eredivisie National League, with the top 3 teams coming out of Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and Eindhoven. The Dutch national team is the most selective team in the nation, though only their women's team has ever won the World Cup. The Dutch also enjoy ice skating on their expansive network of canals, taking the resources most easily available to them and turning it into sport. They also have the world's best field hockey teams, especially the highly competitive women's national team. They also enjoy Formula One racing, tennis, golf, and korfball, a version of basketball that involves a hoop in the middle of a circle with each team attempting to score. Outside of their traditional sports, the Dutch also enjoy Ferrell, a sport in which competitors scale a pole vertically while it tips over a canal with the goal of making it to the other side. Both of these nations enjoy sporting activities as their pastime, along with other niche sports that they love to support, along with other ethnic-based sports that trace their traditions from these nations. Though these 2 countries are incredibly different, their common love of playing sports is one thing they share. Back to you, Brady.
The people from the Netherlands are called the Dutch. Their spice trade had the whole world in its clutch. The islands they had called Indonesia, but they won't forget no amnesia. The Dutch lead in trade, but Indo has the cash, and they really don't like it when their people clash. Keeping up the peace is what they do, but the Dutch, everything they say is true. Their farms are big, tulips, and high yield. They don't play badminton, hockey on a field. The Dutch were there to give the world some spice, but it comes with a cost. Indonesia the price. Both of these countries really are great, but I just made this so I can graduate. That'll wrap it up for today's show after we give a shout out to the one and the only Northwest High School. You guys are awesome. That's all from BNN 10. I'm Brady Innocento, see you at graduation.